Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. I want to get into this whole topic of grit. You know why? Because this is something that I can give you. If I can give you a little seed of hope to get you into the next place in your life, that helps you to stay the course, that you never quit on yourself again, then this is the day to do it. This is the day to do it. This is the thing that I want to say. Because what I have found is that, we pride ourselves, don't we, on, yeah, I stood the course, and yes, I did this, and yes, I did that. But really, oftentimes what happens is we give up too soon. I don't want you to ever give up. I don't want you to ever quit on yourself. So let's kind of maybe deconstruct grit a little bit of what it is, okay? So grit is courage and resolve. It is strength of character. Okay, these are some of the things that they have in it. It's perseverance, resilience, and passion and especially perseverance and passion for long-term goals. I mean, I can tell you some stories about that. And it's the ability to stick with it, and two, the ability to stick with it when adversity comes, right? Have you noticed that the longer that you stick with something, that inevitably something's going to come up? I mean, I'm not talking about I don't feel like it. I'm talking about like you've got to run through a mountain to get to it. We've talked so many times about not feeling like it and doing it anyway, and making it a habit, and it's hard, and it's this and it's that, and getting over that obstacle. Our mindset that just says, nah, I just want to sit on the couch and chill with Netflix and have another glass of wine, right? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this will to go forward and to see that there's an obstacle and to decide that that obstacle is not going to deter you. That you're either going to go through it, you're going to go around it, or you're going to go over the top of it, or dig under and tunnel under if you have to. Because that is the kind of determination that's inside. Grit is what determines and what shapes Olympic athletes. You've seen this. We've talked about like Michael Phelps, the big swimmer and everything. He had grit. He got up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and he went to the pool every day, and he did things every day. He also had a mindset. And I told you, excuse me, for me, part of the thing that I do is I create an identity with this. That's part of my grit. It's part of my grit equation, if you will. And I created an identity. I am an athlete. I am an athlete. I train like an athlete. I eat like an athlete. I sleep like an athlete because I'm in training. I want to be athletic. I want to defy my age. I'm not anti-age. I want to be the best I can be at this age. I want all my things to work. Right? I'm blessed. I'm almost 63 years old, and I have all my parts. And everything feels pretty darn good. I don't have knee issues or pain or any of that, but I'm really careful about this. And therefore, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the next level and become the athlete that I know I can be. That's grit. Grit is saying, I see that long-termedness, if you will, and I'm going to do it anyway, regardless of the obstacle. And I know it's going to get hard. I know it's going to hurt. I know I'm going to want to quit at times. I know all of this stuff going in. But don't you too? Do you know anybody who's ever had a baby and just said, hey, that was nothing? I mean, there's an occasional person out there who just, is just like, hey, squat behind the bush. Boom, there's your baby, and we're done. But for the most part, that's not how it is for most of us. It's just not. For most of us, There's labor involved. That's why they call it labor. And it takes a minute to get that kid out. It takes a minute. It takes a lot. And this is, you get into it and you have no choice, you know? You have no choice because what's gone in's got to come out. But I mean, that's an entirely different thing. But having that kind of determination, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what my mind is set on. This is what it's going to look like. And yes, I'm going to see it through regardless. I just am. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I know I've got the capacity for it. And I know that when I do it, at the end of it, doing it, I'm going to be that much better for it. That's one of the things. So a couple of things that I have for you is, I've got 5 things, is number 1, grit is built on the back of determination. When you are determined that you are going to get something done, determination doesn't say quit. Determination says, I'm going to see my way through. You know, that's not a conversation about, should I stay on the couch or should I, you know, go take a walk with my spouse? That's not that. It's determining. I am determined to stay the course regardless. I am determined. Okay, if I can't do this, what am I going to do instead? If I can't go outside because it's icy and cold, for example, you know, there's an example, Jenny, you know, she couldn't do it. What did she do instead? She did another alternative thing. She did a 4-minute workout 3 times that day. That's what I'm talking about. Because when you're determined, obstacles, we laugh at their folly. You know, they come. We understand, we recognize that's part of the whole thing. We don't act surprised. We just are waiting for the next shoe to fall. And when it does, okay, it's fallen. And now I'm going to figure out, do I go around, over, or under? That's it. Because the determination is your grit. The determination is that plumb line that goes all up and down your spine. You know? Why does it go up and down your spine? Because you are not weak-willed. You're not going to give it up that easily. This is everything to you. You have made this determination. Like I have made this determination about being an athlete. I'm going to be on that boat in a bathing suit and I'm not going to be, you know, worried that anybody's seeing me. I don't care. I mean, my legs are full of all kinds of, you know, weird veins and stuff like that. Hey, so what? You know, the pregnancy all those years ago and my up and down with my weight, it happens. But you know what? I'm going to be on that boat in a bathing suit this summer because I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete and I'm not going to be ashamed of myself. I'm not going to be covered up. I'm not going to be doing all of this stuff because I'm an athlete. Does that make sense? When we make a determination of who we are and what we're about and why we're doing what we're doing, we do the things that we need to do. It's that simple. Number 2 is this, and I love this one, and I'm going to put it out there for you. Going the extra mile. What can you do that is going the extra mile? And I'm not talking about perfectionism where you have to like move all the furniture to vacuum and all of that. One of the things that Marla set me free from when I was housework, you know, doing housework and everything 20 something years ago. And that was to just vacuum the middles. Like, you know, it was earth shaking. At my house, we had to move furniture and do everything. My mother practically white glove tested everything when we were cleaning as kids. I hated it. But you know what? Guess what? Now it's just like, let's just get this done. Let's just move the vacuum around and get rid of that dirt in the middle and get on to the next thing because it's a done deal. That's not what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the extra mile with something, an extra push-up, an extra sit-up, an extra, you know, set up your, whatever it is that you need to do, what's a little extra, an extra conversation, you know, a little extra 5 minutes with your spouse where you're just really making that decision to connect. And you're conscious of it. It's not just like another conversation. We fly through our days, don't we? And the time goes quickly. But when we're present with it and we're making a decision, I'm going to go the extra mile, I'm going to do the extra thing, something sweet, something loving, a little love note, a little whatever, everything like that, it builds on each other. It's not just about your habits and what you're doing for yourself. It spreads out. And you can do this with your connections. You can do this with the love of your life. You can do this with your friends. You can do this in your community. I'm going to go the extra mile and do this one other thing. I would say this about Sarah. Sarah does this in our community. She goes the extra mile. She shares with what she's doing. She shows everything, takes pictures and tells people what it is. That's going the extra mile. And do you know how many people that encourages? It's bringing people in with you. When we go the extra mile, we're doing it not only for our own tenaciousness, but we're doing it also for the people that we love and the relationships that we are about nurturing, right? Number 3 is depending on a habit instead of motivation. Now, we do Motivational Monday, but when we get so codependent on motivation, I'm like, I need to feel it before I do it. You know, that is really sort of working off the monkey brain, right? The monkey brain is just like very pleasure centric. The monkey brain is all about, you know, like, well, when you feel like it, you'll do it. Like, if you have to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. If you're thirsty, you drink. If you're, you know, you eat and you sleep and, you know, you do everything. Monkey brain does that. So if our only motivation is when we feel like it, then we're allowing the monkey brain to run the show. How sad is that? When instead, if we say we set up our homes for success, we set up our lives for success, we set up our environments for that. You know, I showed you this. We've got the quotes, we've got the mug, we've got the things on the wall. Everything is set up for success, all around us, set up for success. And therefore, our habits become, get it? Habitual. What? Easy. Well, let's say simple. Because sometimes it's just not easy. It's not fun to get on the bike and do the bike. It's just part of the habit. It's not fun or easy to go clean a toilet or, you know, to whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's hard. It might not be easy, but if it's part of a habit, guess what? Habits create the life you want to live. They do. Not your motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and it goes. Sometimes you're so, I'm motivated, I can't wait, this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? I know this from when all the conferences I've gone to. Oh my heavens. I've been to all these conferences, charged up, spent $1 bazillion. This is going to be the greatest thing. Then I come home and I go, meh, really? Because motivation flies. Motivation is like puppy love, you know? Where marriage is like, this is a commitment. And I want you in the marriage department here, you know? I don't want you to have puppy love. We're too old for that. It's time for a commitment to your habits, because your habits are going to run your life if you allow them to. And especially if you set them up the way you want to. And grit is the thing that's going to take you all the way there, because it's going to give you the courage to do so. Because it's going to make you believe in yourself, your capabilities, and you're going to see things in yourself you didn't think were possible, because you don't quit. You don't quit. You know, when you have grit, you don't quit. No quitters here. So Angela Duckworth wrote a book called, and she's a psychologist, she wrote a book called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And in that book, she says that grit is a result of a growth mindset. Now on Monday, which is Motivational Monday, I'm going to take you through the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Because when the switch flips and you make a decision to have a growth mindset, you'll never be the same. You'll look at things differently. You'll understand that you have capacities and abilities beyond what you think you do. You'll understand that who you are is so much more than you think of yourself. You will understand that you've been made in the image of God, and purposely, right now at this time, nobody else is like you, and that you have a reason for being here. So I want you to keep that in mind. And when we go over this stuff on Monday, I want you taking notes, because this is the stuff that I've brought into my private, with my private coaching clients. This is stuff that I've taught to in our events and what have you. But this is the stuff I'm going to be bringing on Monday, because I want to see your life, I want to see you have grit in your life. I want to see you have the courage in your life to do the things that you want to do. Because the courage to do it is really oftentimes is just enough of just saying, you know what, I'm just so done with all the old stuff. It's never worked before. Those excuses have always held me back. What the heck? Let's just go ahead and be uncomfortable for a minute. Okay, get on the bike. Now we're done. See? Just like that. Just like that. Just make that one little itsy bitsy decision, and now you're back into the habit. It's incredible what you can do with it. So a couple of things that you need is to practice this grit thing is something that you're interested in. So if you have an interest, I use Patsy too as a good example. So Patsy has this interest in doing all that little needle point stuff or hand work. It's needle stuff. It's a crafty thing. And it's adorable. She did her vision board with it and all of that. She reached out and she ended up getting, this big, huge following for people and selling her little patterns and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm telling it all wrong. But what she did though was it was her passion that got her doing this, and she reached out and it got a little bit further. And cross stitch, thank you. I knew I was saying it wrong. But you have an interest in something. Why do you want to just keep it here and hidden and underneath why hide it, Don't hide your light under a bushel. Remember that? Under the bushel tree or whatever it is. Don't hide it, whatever it is. Take that light out and shine, shine, shine. Let's bring it out. And let me just say this, that your interest, and I talked to our NutriCoaches yesterday, so if you are a NutriCoach, go into the NutriCoach Facebook group. I did a big old Q&A and helped you set up, okay? Because listen, if you want to do something, then it's going to require consistency for sure. That is a big deal. It's going to require courage. Yes, it's a big deal. But it's also got to be something that you're interested in, Grit for me came in the form of, losing a ton of weight. That was one of them. But grit also came in the form of, making a decision that my business was in trouble, and was I going to stay the course or just fold up and go home? Go work as a Walmart greeter or something. I don't know. But I decided not to. And the perseverance and what it took me 2 years to climb out. But I'm telling you, and my bookkeeper used to say every month when we get together, she said, Leanne, I don't know of anybody who has more grit than you do. And that's when I was just like, okay, well, whatever. But I remember I'd have to talk myself into it. And I was scared as heck. But every single day I got up and I did the work anyway. Every single day I figured out another way. I had Edison moments all the time, what not to do, But I knew that if I just keep persevering, if I keep doing the work, I will eventually get there. Well, and we finally did. But the point is that without grit, you fold up your tent and go home. Without grit, you don't get to see it through and follow through. Without grit, you don't get to be a 64-year-old swimmer like Diana Nyad, swimming from Cuba to Palm Beach for the 4th attempt. 4 attempts. Shark-infested jellyfish waters. No shark cage around her. Getting stung with jellyfish like crazy. And she still went ahead. It was her 4th attempt. She was 64 years old. And when she landed on that beach, and they said, how did you do it? And she said, you just find a way. That is grit, my friends. That is grit. And on my wall, I have that written, find a way. Because I will never, ever, ever back away from something that I know is right, something that I have a passion for, and something that I know that I can do. I might find 1,000 ways not to do it, but I promise you this, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And I'll figure out my way around it, or under it, or over it, or whatever it takes. So, number 1, find something you're interested in. Number 2, practice. Have you noticed that when you practice something that you get better at it? Anybody ever take the piano? What did you start with? Like scales, and you remember those Hanon, I think they were called Hanon exercise books, and there was and it was just boring, and I was like, I want to play stuff. But when you started to master the simplest things, you got to start learning how to play actual songs. And you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and you get to the place of mastery. So when we practice something, we get to the place of mastery if we keep the practice up. That practice also is what develops our spines, what gives us the grit to see it through. Now, not everybody's going to be a master pianist. Not everybody is. Or, not everybody's going to be, a Diana Naiad and decide, this sounds like a good idea. Let's just get into some shark-infested waters and swim. For whatever reason, that was her interest. Patsy's interest is in cross-stitch. Obviously, mine isn't, because I can't figure out even what it is that she's doing. I make up the needle things I mix them all up. But it doesn't matter. What I admire is Patsy's gumption and her grit to be able to go take it a step further. And that's what I'm saying to you. What do you have? What's inside of you? What's your passion? What do you want? And what are you willing to put a little spine into? What are you willing to put some grit into so that you stay the course, so that you don't quit on yourself, so that your quit is not even an option, because you've got grit, not quit. And then I want, the competition with yourself is a good thing. Like, I can do one more. I don't want to, but I'm going to anyway, just to prove that you're stronger than you think you are. When we compete with others and we compare ourselves to others and start, this whole, well, at least I'm not blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of that. We see that on the news all the time. We see, we see this all the time, and we see it, unfortunately, in Facebook with women do this a lot with each other. I am really happy to report this does not happen in our group. We've had, I think, 1 or 2 people that I've banned out of there simply because they weren't loving and kind and gentle and sweet. So they were gone. And I fill my world, my community, my everything with people who are that level. Yes, grit, not quit. Absolutely, Lisa. So when we do that, when we identify with that, when we have that kind of a community, that's the rising tide of lifting all the boats. There's the grit right there, because they've got your back, and that you're only competing with yourself. You're only competing with yourself. One more push-up, just because, just to show that I can do it, or one more conversation, or one more I love you before you leave the door. One more of something just to fill those little cups. Everybody in your family, everybody in your life, everybody has a cup. They do. And are you overflowing their cups? Are you? You can be that person. Let the words of your mouth edify everyone, including yourself. Number 4 is identify your purpose. I'm going to say this to you, and I just said it yesterday to a coaching client, and that is this, that your purpose is out there if you will open your eyes, if you will ask about it, and if you stay the course, you will find it. The expectation of finding, the expectation that it's out there is God-given. Because he's letting you know, you are my daughter, I love you, I think the world of you, and all the good things are out there for you. All the good things. Open your eyes. Look for them. Be vocal about them. I am looking for this. I did that with our little boat. Remember I told you, I know our boat is out there. I know we're going to get the little pontoon that we need to get, and it's not going to cost us $1 bazillion. That's exactly what happened. And not only that, but it already came with the electric motor that we needed it to. And it was half the price of what we were prepared to pay. Where do you think that happened? Did we just get lucky? Or I put it out there. Are you kidding? I let everybody in my community know. I let people all around me know. Hey, we're looking for a boat. Let me know. I just put it out there, and my expectation was it's going to show up and we're going to have this. because I had a higher purpose for this. This is going to be for my ladies when they come for the events that we're going to hold here. This is going to be something for Mark and I, for our loving relationship, something that we can do. This is going to be for our family when they come for a visit. This is something that we can do with the kids. Higher purpose. Your higher purpose is to find your purpose and then define it from there. Why do you want something in your life? What is the purpose of it? When you start to think and use your why framework, things start to really blossom, don't they? They go in full bloom. Oh, what? Full bloom. And then the last thing that I have for you is just this: simply believe. Believe in yourself. Believe in what's inside of you. Believe in the fact that the tenacity that you see with some things can be with all things, if only you put your energy on that. Remember, where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. We know that. That's where you've got your mind on something. If you got it on all the negative stuff, you are not going to have that flow. You're just going to have a whole frustration thing, and it's just going to beat you up, and you're going to feel crappy. I want you to have grit. I want you to never quit. I want you to have grit. And grit is the courage and the resolve and the strength to see things through. You're so worth it. Your life is so worth it. And everybody that you touch is waiting for you to become that woman. Everyone. And right now, I just think God's smiling down on you and just saying, yeah, I believe in you. I believe in you. And he's calling you by name if only you'll listen. So that's what I have for you today. How do you like that? God bless you all, and peace be with you. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.